Hey everybody, Bob Chick back with another edition of the Voice of Bodybuilding, and joining us once again, my old Mama Luke buddy, King Kamali.
What's King up? In the house. What's up, brother?
The King is indeed in the house, my friend, and we got lots to cover. Winter is upon us, as you see. We've broken out the hoodies. I see you're still proudly supporting the NPC. I remember when you got that, actually.
These things last forever, man. They're like T. Michael sweatshirts. They last forever.
Remember when we used to do the NPC wear shoots at the USA?
Oh, yes. Yeah. And who was always the last person to show up? Mr. Chris Cormier.
Chris Cormier, last but not least, and Ronnie.
Yeah.
Still the only man to ever wear the entire combination of the tops and bottoms, the matching set. I always thought
those were the days, my friend. And they always say, hey, you guys just talk about it because of... Shut the hell up. We had it better than you. Accept it.
Listen, sometimes the old days were better, right? Now, we talk about competition. We're going to get into some competition stuff in a minute, but I don't want to get off on a rant here, King, but let's face it. Some things like the cars out of the 50s, the music out of the 80s, some things are just better the way they were.
Yeah, exactly. When you go to a bodybuilding contest, there's no girls backstage getting their hair done and makeup done. There's no, it was bodybuilding. That's all it was. And you'd had, 30 to 40 teenagers. You had 50 to 60 light heavyweights, 70 middleweights. I mean, it was an actual event. Now it's backstage.
Let's talk about the teen stuff, right? Because the teen stuff for years. So you and I got a couple of years apart, right? So we've got kind of two different generations covered, right? So when I started competing as a teenager, which was in 1979.
Wow.
Right? Yeah, I know, right? And that continued up, obviously, until I turned 20, right? So pretty much I had the early 80s covered as a teen.
Right.
Until 87. Okay, I turned 20.
Right.
I'm sorry, 86.
Right.
Okay? So 79 to 85, I'm a teenager.
Right.
Those shows were big. There was a lot of kids in there, right? They had separated between 18 and 19-year-olds, and then they had anybody up to 17, right? But they were big shows, King. Now, after that, you come along.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you cover pretty much the next 10 years of the teen stuff. How was it when you were competing?
Insane. Absolutely crazy. And we brought the first show I ever did was the AAU Mr. DC. The AAU Mr. DC was the first show I did. And we had, almost 18, 19 teenagers. And it came down to everyone kept saying, there's this kid named King coming out of this town. And there's this kid named Adine, who happened to be Amin's brother, coming out of this town. And we met on stage, and they said, you two stand next to each other. And it was a war. I remember teenagers getting the crowd all crazy and hyped up and yelling and screaming. That's the way it used to be. And, yeah, it was amazing time, man. It's so much.
Well, listen, you did well there. You won the collegiates, right?
Correct.
Also?
Yeah, collegiate nationals.
The collegiates, you're what, 20?
Yeah, 1994.
19?
1994 it was.
Okay. So we're going to include that in with the young guys, obviously. You're 19, you're 20, it's all the same, right? Until you get to 21 plus.
Yeah.
But the reason I bring this up is this. I can name you names of people that won the teen stuff and then went on, right? Sean Ray, right, when he beat me for the 85 teen nationals, which I'm still pissed about, Jim Mannion, okay? So when you're listening to me, it doesn't sit well with me, my friend, okay? You got Jay Cutler, right, who would go on to win a few shows himself, right? You've got guys like Jason Hunt, right, yourself. You can go right down the line to some of the future superstars. You can't name me one guy today that won the teen anything 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago.
Nope.
Why?
Nope. It's just because the span of the internet and everybody just wanting to be internet social media stars and forget about this and who's got the more likes. Those days you put your head – I'm telling you, man, we discussed this the other day. When you went into the gym, if you showed 1 ounce of disrespect, you get your ass kicked in the locker room and you get thrown out in the parking lot. And I'm not just saying that. I remember taking my shirt off when I first joined the real gym, Tyson's Olympia gym. Within 10 seconds, I was thrown out in the middle of the street and getting my head smacked by Jimmy and Cacciatore. They're like, what the fuck you doing taking your shirt off here? I was like, I'm sorry, guys. I didn't know. I had to beg to get back in. Nowadays, with the tripods, you try to pull that back then, and they would smash it and throw you out in the middle of the street. That's what's changed, brother. That is what's changed.
Some of it I think is just it's a harder sell, right?
Yeah.
Like in this day and age, now I'll be listen. We always got to keep things real here, right? I'm going to take both sides, okay? Because listen, I'm on the side of I'm a promoter. I'm a part of the the athletes rep. I've been an athlete. I've been this. I've been that. Right. I've also been on the competitive side, right? So I get all sides of the business. But here's what I've seen over the years, King. It is a real tough sell to take a young kid. Let's just say he's 16, 17 years old, right? And try and put your arm around him and say, you know what, kid? With 15, 20 years of hard work, you too could be on the Olympia stage, right? That's where the sport has progressed. The days are long gone. When was the last guy we even had? It might be Phil Heath. I might answer my own question first. You might have somebody else.
Okay.
That was relatively young who came into this sport. Lee Haney, who I just did his show this past weekend, the Lee Haney Games, right? Happy birthday, Lee, by the way. Great show and everything. Lee Haney retired when he was 31.
Yes.
By the time he's 31, King, he's got 8 Sandals in his pocket, and he's gone.
Yes.
So
again, Bob, it is a whole different world. It's the concept of celebrity in the bodybuilding world has completely changed. It's more about, again, once again, I said it once, I said 1,000 times. It's all about who gets the most likes, who's got a check mark, a blue check mark next to their name. That's what it's all come down to. As I said last time, if there was social media when you and I, the Mamalukes, were crushing it, we would have had 20 million followers each. Guaranteed. Without a question. Even Titus would have had 20 million followers. It doesn't matter. It's just
we got a whole bunch of guys following as we speak. Bottom line is this. Times have changed. Listen, it is a tough sell. Okay, there's not a lot of money in our sport collectively.
Yeah.
Okay, it is a lot of hard work. It's the toughest sport on this earth to combine training every single day of your life while you're eating sawdust and chicken fillet.
That's correct.
Okay, every day and all that goes with it. To get onto a bodybuilding stage and know people, let's just get this out of the way right now, okay? Just to correct everybody out there, okay? Nobody does this for a $5 trophy.
Right.
Okay? You people are misinformed. The trophy, whether it's $5 or $105, is just a symbol. Okay, of your efforts. Nope. So stop saying, oh, these guys do all this for a $10 trophy, a $5 trophy. Nobody's doing it for the trophy. You're doing it for the title. You're doing it for the challenge, right? You're doing it to climb the ladder. You want to get to the Olympia. Please stop using the stupid trophy thing in your argument.
Yeah, and then when you help people, and I'm not going to mention any names, and it breaks my heart that these kids contact someone like me and hire me to get them ready for a show or something. And I try, God almighty Lord, do I try, Mr. Bob Ciccarello, to tell them, pound it in their heads. It's not where you place. The whole point is to come in, and it's a battle, it's a journey, it's a challenge to get yourself to that point. And you're coming to me, so I'm actually going to show you how to do it correctly. I didn't have anybody. I had magazines, and I had people in the gym saying, hey, you should be doing this, and you should be. I didn't have anything. We had to learn and learn and learn. So the advantages that these kids have with us right now, I wish I had a King Kamali to help me out back then, but I didn't. And they take it for granted, and they think because they hired an IFBB pro, a legendary bodybuilder who's going to help them, they're automatically going to win. And that's not how it works. It's not about winning. Once you get to a certain point and you test yourself and you say, I have the chance. I was blessed enough, and Bob Ciccarello was blessed enough. We enter a show, we win. We enter a show, we win. Well, obviously there's something there. So then you go, okay, well, maybe there's something there. Then you go to the next level, you win. You're like, okay. Then you got to go. Then that's what separates the 1%ers from the 99%ers. You got to understand this, and I pound this. And unfortunately, this past weekend, it happened again. And I kept telling this kid over and over again, it's not about winning and losing. It's about getting out there and transforming and getting the pictures back and saying, okay, I see how I compared to this guy. Now I see why he got third and I got sixth, or he got first and I got second. And then you take it and you come back better the next time. Nope, that's not how they see it. They see it, well, I hired you. Why didn't I win? Really? Seriously? That's what you really thought in your head? That's not how it
That's
works.
great.
And I keep saying that. That should be I'm going to make a shirt that says that's not how it works.
Well, listen, people, you're spot on, King. Listen, you hire a good trainer, okay? So you're doing things properly, you're doing things safely, and you're going to get the best out of what you can get out of you.
Exactly.
Your 100% is not necessarily better than the other guy's 100%, or the other guy's even 90%. Okay, so why I didn't win? Well, you weren't as good as the other guy. Sometimes it's just that.
Right.
You didn't screw up. Well, what went wrong? See, this is what you're touching on, King. So where did we blow it? What went wrong? Nothing. Listen, maybe nothing went wrong.
Nothing. Exactly. Nothing goes wrong.
Listen, right. You did good, kid. Listen, that's the best of where you're at, the level you're at right now.
Yeah.
That's the best you're going to do right now. Now you're going to go back in there and you're going to train. I mean, listen, I see your clients online, on all your social media platforms and such, and so I get to follow them. And I'm sorry, I don't know the names, but the blonde guy in particular, right? I know you got a lot of clients, but the one blonde guy that you took basically had no physique before. Now I'm seeing this guy winning shows every time I see. I think is his name Scott? Maybe?
Scott, yes, Scott Burnett.
Okay,
yeah.
That's it. This guy's done remarkable things in the 2-3 years, whatever it's been that you've been training him, and now he goes in and he's up for the title. This guy started with two things: Jack and shit.
Scott came to me. He's one of my closest friends now too. We became really, really tight. And his wife happens to be Amanda Burnett, who's competing in the Miss Olympia Wellness in a few weeks.
That's right.
Right. So he so we took everything But another thing that I got to add in there, Bob, just to understand, it goes back to the whole genetic factor. The genetics. For kids, please listen to this. Be realistic with yourself when it comes to the genetic, with the genetic things. When you hear people say Dorian Yates didn't have the genetics of Flex Wheeler, but he outworked them. Dorian Yates had genetics, folks. Don't think that he didn't have it. Flex Wheeler had no myostatin. Okay, the guy could look at a dumbbell and he would grow, just like Lee Haney. He would look at a dumbbell and he would grow. Yes, we have some mutants like that, but we also have people who can work hard and catch up and do this and do that. Use what God gave you, but don't have unrealistic expectations of what you're supposed to do. Listen, just have fun with it. I can't believe how many times I've said that to her. Have fun with it. Have fun with it. And you have to be smart. When you hire a coach, I'll give you a perfect example. I had a client. Her name is Lacey. I've been working with Lacey for 3-4 years now. She's, again, her and her husband are good friends of mine now. Lacey will not do drugs. She won't touch it. She doesn't want to touch it. That's why she's gorgeous. She's pretty. She's got every show she does. All the girls go, oh, you're so pretty. Okay. You know why? Because she doesn't touch that crap, number one. Number two, she comes to me and we have a plan. It's like a chess game. So I say to Lacey, okay, you're out of the bikini division. You're in wellness now. You're not going to do the drugs. Okay, that's fine. What you can do to be competitive is conditioning. So these girls are going to come in with the sweepy ass quads and the whole wellness thing. Since you're in the NPC, which we discussed last week, Mr. Bob Ciccarello, conditioning will pull you through every time. Every single time will pull you through.
The bottom line is there's nothing half-ass about wellness, okay?
Mm-hmm. That is correct.
Thank you, sir.
That is correct.
Right, listen, the prep stuff deserves its entire a whole episode, which I'm going to adhere to now. So we will actually film. When we get done here, I'm just going to throw this out there for you people. We're actually going to film a whole segment on contest conditioning and prep and all that kind of, because that is probably the number one questions we always
100%.
I don't want to cheapen that down because we've got some stuff to go over here. So count on that, folks. It's coming up as soon as we get done with this segment. So we did have some shows this past weekend. Most notably, of course, it's not Romania. It's the Lee Haney Games, bro. That's where your brother was at.
Awesome.
Okay? With 8-time Mr. Olympia, Lee Haney in the house. It was his birthday, actually, that same day. So happy birthday, Lee.
One of my favorites of all time.
You gotta love Lee. Did a great job. His crew did a great job. Big special shout out to Richard, his right hand man out there, and Big J Hammett was out there. So a lot of the Atlanta crew. Rock Shabazz is out there, right?
Rock Shabazz. Wow.
So he tells me the big man's coming, right? His buddy Shaq, right? So of course he never makes it out. He was coming in from something he was doing, but the plane didn't get in on time, whatever. But I swear Rock had to have 100 people himself. and he's got his boys, right, that are competing. And these guys is completely first time on stage. I actually met him last year. They trained all year. To your point, Rock is an excellent trainer. He's very similar to yourself in his beliefs and his teachings and all that. So these guys end up they had to take 5-6 medals each, different classes. Really good young talent, though. Good guys. They're backstage in between and after the prejudging. This is kind of goes back into our prep stuff, but we'll get into that. They're eating chicken and potatoes, bro. Like nothing crazy. They're not eating cake, right? They're not going crazy. Sticking to the contest plan. Again, we're going to cover all that stuff in a bit, but big shout out to Lee Haney and his crew, 300 plus across the stage. But Romania was going on across the pond. Now, this was the last qualifier of the year, I believe, for the Olympia King.
Correct. Absolutely. Yes. Last one.
Now, they try to follow all the top guys and what they're going in and all that. And I see Brett Wilkin was getting ready for this show, right? And I go, wow. And I see some update photos. I'm like, man, Brett's in shape, right? Like last year, he was kicking ass on stage, came up a little short, but you can see the kid coming, right?
Yes.
Takes the year, trains, puts the preps together. But this is where I got to disagree. Brett ends up losing to a guy named Biruz Tabani.
Correct.
Which is from your homeland.
He's an Iranian.
Iran.
He's an Iranian bodybuilder. Correct.
So he's got the Persian genetics, the whole thing, right? The full hair thing going on there, King, right? But listen, the guy is ripped from top to bottom, and he beats Brett. Now, we'll get into the judging in a second, but I can't help but think, why? I don't know who runs Brett's, his business and his contest stuff. Why did he put all his eggs into the last show of the year's basket, where now there is nothing left to qualify? This guy's in Olympian shape. I mean, he should be there, but he's not.
For the life of me, I don't understand either. I think Kuklo does the same thing, doesn't he? It's once in a while he chooses. This has to be a chess game. You got to pick and choose your show correctly. And Brett, I don't know, man. But the only thing I could possibly think of, Bob, is he was thinking to himself, who's going to be there? Nobody knows these guys. I'm just going to walk in there. I'm Brett Wilkin. I mean, I that's the only thing I can possibly fucking think of.
Oh, this defies description, right? Listen, you never know who's going to be there, as evidenced by Biruz,
yes,
who came to play, okay? And this guy, you can't take nothing away. I saw the pictures, okay? I actually saw some video as well. This guy is ripped up like Hamdullah was years ago.
Correct.
Right? From top to bottom, King, he's got lines.
Correct.
Right? And Brett's in great shape, okay? It's not like he blew it or he was off. Brett looked like he nailed it 100%. This kid was just a little bit better, the judges felt. But again, we weren't there.
Right.
But I'm going to go with their decision. We're going to go with that. But I feel bad in a sense for Brett, but I also feel like saying, what were you thinking?
Yeah.
Why weren't you on stage 2 weeks ago at the Texas show or whatever? In that shape, Brett probably would have waltzed through a victory.
Yes. Yes.
He's got to be feeling a little bit empty right now because now you're going to be watching your buddies on stage and you should be there elbow to elbow with him.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%, man. I don't know him personally, but from what I know and what I've seen, he seems like a really nice guy. He seems like he's dedicated. He's got that Branch Warren mentality when he trains. I've seen some of his videos when he's training. He goes balls to the wall, nosebleeds, the whole 9 yards. I've seen it. It's good.
No, listen, he's a future superstar, right? There's no question about it. But again, we're speculating, okay? I don't have Brett's number. We don't keep in touch. Good kid, right? And I'm friends with his I think they're married now, his wife, Ivana. Ivana Vucic, for those who don't know, IFBB superstar herself. Been on the Olympia stage many, many times. I would love to entertain an answer, though, other than we just picked that show, or maybe he just saw, great, it's closer to the Olympia, and I can kind of skirt in there. But anyway, so Biruz Tabani. Now, this is a name not one person knew going into the show, but let me tell you something. He just put himself on the map.
Yes.
Now, he's not the biggest guy out there, okay, but this guy was ripped to shreds. Hypothetically, King, I assume that he's going to come to the Olympia. I'll just go on that list.
God willing, he gets his visa, yes.
Say he is, right? Where do you see him in that, I hate to use the phrase, stacked lineup at the Olympia? Is he a contender? Is he like in the middle of the pack? Does he need more muscle? Where do you see him?
He'll be in the second call-out in the middle of second call-out.
That's a pretty a good endorsement for you because that generally means that he's got a shot at the lower top 10.
Yes, and the reason why I say that is there's a couple of factors in there. Number one, he's Persian, he's Iranian, and I know for a fact that he's going to bring the conditioning. He'll suffer. To them, suffering is not a big problem. They'll suffer. Okay.
Right.
Number two, he's got the structure too. He's got that beautiful structure, the small waist, the round muscle bellies and stuff like that, and of course his conditioning is next level 1990s, Kevin Levrone type conditioning. Thin, paper thin skin. As you said, the alhamdulillah, the striations from top to bottom. Does he have the freak factor muscle? Not yet. He still doesn't.
Better than Haney?
No, because Haney's a freak. Haney's got that freak factor, okay? Because Haney's height and his width, Haney still has that freak factor, but I'll tell you this right now, and this is no knock against my own Persian brothers and sisters like that, but one of the things about the Persian culture is they don't like to see athletes, they don't like to see other people getting ahead of them who they knew. I know both of these gentlemen, and I've been following Behruz for a while. And I knew, remember what I told you when I said there's freaks coming out of Iran? There's going to be some, I've seen with my own eyes. I knew this guy was coming up. And when Milos got his hands on him, I'm like, okay, for the love of God, don't bubblify this guy. Don't make him spongy and massively full. He's got this beautiful shape and stuff. And to all of Milos's credit, I'll give him where credit's due. He did it right, man. We came in peeled, shape. He looks fantastic. But Behruz has one problem that he needs to fix before he's that caliber style Olympia. He needs to thicken up from the back a little bit. Okay, his back is still not that, because when I was watching the comparisons between Brett and Behruz, and Brett was a little bit more lumpy, a little bit more thicker, especially in the back double biceps. Right. Brett had that little bit of thickness. Behruz had the shape and conditioning. I would like to see the score sheet. Have you seen the score sheet of the Romania show?
No, it had to. I mean, from what I saw, and again, we're on the outside looking in, so people take it for what it's worth. Okay, we're just like you. We're seeing pictures and videos. Okay, nothing beats being 15 feet away from these guys. But from what I could see, King, Brett was a little thicker.
Yes,
had a little bit more muscle. The other guy was shredded beyond belief. Right. But again, he wasn't shy on muscle either. If this wasn't a one-point decision, I'd be shocked.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I'm with you 100% because it looked very, very close. Whenever you get to a point where you're comparing who wins the front double bicep, who wins the side, it's close when you're going shot for shot.
Right.
So
listen, I'll be curious to see where he sits because last we talked Olympia last week, we kind of split people into two camps. You got the big boys, the tall guys, and you got the short guys.
Right.
This guy, Brett, is not short and he's not tall either. He's probably right around, 5'8", 5'9". So this guy seemed to be about the same. So this could be an interesting comparison, King, because, again, he doesn't fit in with the short guys in terms of he's not short and squatty and, got a whole lot of muscle like a Nick Walker or a Bonac. But he's also a foot shorter than Jacked and any of the Nigerians, of course, and Big Ramy, and Michael Krizo.
Yes.
So
see, that's
what very curious.
Those are the comparisons. That's going to be very interesting. It's going to set Behruz and put him exactly where he needs to be in the hierarchy of bodybuilding. Behruz standing next to a Blessing, standing next to a who's the guy from New York?
The guy from New York. Can you be any more vague?
Oh man, I'm sorry. He's gonna
Justin Rodriguez.
Justin Rodriguez or Akeem.
Akeem.
I mean, completely different. I mean, putting Akeem and Behruz next to each other, it's like apples and beyond oranges. You look at the two different bodies, but Akeem is so thick that when a guy stands next to someone that thick. Your little weaknesses, especially at the Olympia, I think you would agree with me on this. Your small weaknesses become huge weaknesses.
Well, you get your fruits squared up over there. All right, we got to figure out because you did say it. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yes,
right?
sir.
You said last week the difference at the Olympia level is thickness and size.
Yes.
Now this guy, as ripped to the bone as he is, probably is lacking in the size/muscle department. When he stands next to an Akeem Williams, right, or I mean, listen, Hunter Labrada is as thick as they come, right? I mean, he's put on a lot of muscle. Nick Walker ain't lacking any muscle. He can't literally put any more on his frame. So it might be a different, could it be a whole different animal when he stands up there on the Olympia stage?
Absolutely. You got to, I'm going to say it once. I said it 1,000 times, my Mama Luke brother. You got to stand next to each other. When they come out one at a time for their individuals, you're like, oh, my God. Until they stand next to each other, and you're like, oh, okay. I see what's happening there. That's not right. That doesn't look good. He's lacking there. The conditioning is off. That's why when you look at the top 5, top 6 posts down last year at the Olympia, Hottie's conditioning was just killing everybody. Your eyes kept going to him for conditioning. But then they would go over there and say, wait a second, but the muscularity, conditioning, muscularity, conditioning, muscularity. You have to go and you have to stand next to each other in order to see where you stand. Behruz is going to compare well because of his conditioning, but I'm not sure. I have to see him to see if he can hang with the freak muscle, the freak factors.
Well, as always, King, we can look to the past and predict the future. Generally speaking, you haven't seen a we'll call him a slight build, okay? I know it's at the Olympia level, so you got to take everything with consideration. Mm-hmm. You haven't seen a ripped Mr. Olympia since Frank Zane. Now, again, I'm putting this in context, right? Every other guy has been in great conditioning, but they may not have been ripped. Like Lee Haney, again, arguably one of the best Mr. Olympias of all time, right? Mm-hmm. Ronnie Coleman, I mean, obviously combined both of those factors. He was, now he wasn't as ripped as Behruz, right?
Right.
But, Phil Heath, Jay Cutler, Brandon Curry, right? Sean Roden, all right? Any of these modern Olympians, Dexter may have been the closest.
Yes.
Okay? Now, even Dexter was thicker than, like I say, but generally speaking, traditionally and historically, we don't see the ripped guy up there. You just don't see it.
Yeah.
Like, they just don't seem to have enough muscle to be able to stand with those guys up there.
Yeah, that's also because that the conditioning factor, a lot of the top Olympia guys, they bring conditioning now too. I mean, it's not like it's way off. It's still close enough that you can look at there and say, but no, as you said right now, you can't just be shredded and stand up there. You can't just be cross-striated in your glutes. I mean, everybody has striated glutes now. And again, you brought a good point. Stand next to Hunter Labrada and that thickness and that popping thickness muscle, or a Nick Walker. It's a whole different ball game. He might be better conditioned, but the muscularity he's going to lose. And as we said, this is a game of muscularity.
And again, the difference between a regular pro show and the Olympia is night and day. Okay, this is truly the best of the best, and you're looking for the best. Listen, we're in the muscle contest, right? That's what this is. At the end of the day, it's not a who's the most ripped contest. It's not a who can dance the best out there. With all due respect, King, right? It's you know what I mean. It's a combination of those things. Speaking of our good friend Milos, if it was up to him, yes, the dancing and the posing would actually come into play here. But that's a whole other segment for a whole other day, Milos.
Yeah, I mean,
he loves to argue about that posing around.
He does, and Milos, God bless him. He's got his points. I mean, there's some things that he says I agree with, and there's something he says that I don't agree with. I'm sure you're the same way, but it all comes down to muscularity. I remember Milos got up at the 2001 Mr. Olympia, and he was yelling and screaming and saying at the press conference, saying, "What the hell do you guys want? Do you want Ronnie Coleman or do you want Dexter Jackson? What do you want?" And then, and then eventually people started saying, well, wait a second, okay, we want something right in the middle, but you can't just be ripped and get up there. You can't be Clarence Bass. It doesn't work.
Clarence Bass. Wow, there's one. Hey, Google is.
They're going to be folks. Googling like crazy after this show is done, man. Clarence Bass.
Well, I tell you this, there ain't going to be any Clarence Bass type physiques up on that Olympia stage, because right now, I think with this guy, I could be off by a guy because I don't know exactly who's in and who's out. Nathan Dash is out. Who else? Regan Grimes is out. He voluntarily just said, I'm going to take another year and fill this frame out. Good young talent, by the way, Regan Grimes. But I agree with that decision. Listen, just because you're qualified doesn't mean you should go in. Now, we generally use that at the national level.
Yeah.
Because we see a whole bunch of physiques, King, that qualify because they were either the only guy in their class.
Yes.
Right? And, the Mr. Oshkosh, Nowhereville. Right, won the super heavies, and the guy walks out, and you go, does this guy not have a friend in the world?
Right.
Does he not have one person? Does he not have a Coach King Kamali or somebody like that?
Yeah.
By the way, if you're going to use Coach King Kamali, don't spell Coach with a K. All right, just saying. It could be a problem for you in the written form, bro. Okay, just don't try to be clever.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but we discussed this last week too. Remember, Bob? I said you went to the Nationals, and that's why they had that cut round. They cut it from 60 to 15 like this. Thank you, peace.
Well, let me tell you
Get the hell out of here.
Let me tell you something. That may be returning quicker than you think because we're doing the numbers as we speak, and that's something up for discussion to be tabled. We may have to make some adjustments up to this year's Olympia because you've got double the amount of athletes. Now, on one hand, you want to give everybody their time, right? They didn't qualify. On the other hand, this ain't fourth grade T-ball where everybody gets a crack at the ball, okay? This ain't the duck pond. It's a competition, all right? It's the number one competition in our sport. And number three in that discussion is you've got to give enough time for true and accurate comparisons.
Correct.
You don't want it to be a time issue, right? This is the Olympia. So personally, I'd rather see less time for individuals, which means absolutely nothing to anybody, right? And I would rather see more time devoted to comparisons of these athletes because it does make a difference, not only financially, but in the scheme of somebody's career and their hard work and dedication. Listen, it makes a difference whether you're fifth or sixth, right?
Absolutely.
Top five, right? Or if you're getting an award or you're going home with nothing. So that is up for discussion.
Bob, if I remember correctly, so basically, is it you bring them out like, 8 at a time? Eight, and then you put them out. Oh, then afterwards it's individuals, right?
Well, then, normally afterwards it's individuals. So that's going to get looked at now. I'm with you. That's my own personal. I'd cut that whole thing into some degree.
Done.
But like I say, that we're going to see what the powers that be come up with. Those discussions are taking place as we speak.
Right.
So we'll keep everybody posted on that. But King, that's going to wrap it up for our Romania Pro review, and we've got a whole bunch to discuss, so that's going to do it for this episode. But we will be back, folks, in just a few seconds, our time and in your time. We're going to have this out as soon as we can get it. Contest Prep 101 with the King. We'll see you guys soon.